Hi, my name is Marilyn, and for this video I'm going to be showing you every single eyeshadow inside of the Stupid Love palette by Haus. And along the way I'll be explaining how I feel about them. If you like these kinds of videos, please make sure to subscribe to my channel as this is a Lady Gaga stan account. I have a whole bunch of other Lady Gaga looks as well as other multiple looks and palette kind of videos. To get started, the eyeshadow primer that I'm using for these shadows is by Milani. I apply it all over my eyelid and let it dry down for 30 seconds. The first shade I'm dipping into is this one called Sign. It's a gorgeous bright cobalt blue. My usual technique for blending eyeshadows is to place the color down and then softly blend out my edges. I found that with the mattes in this eyeshadow palette, my usual blending technique wasn't the best because I described this formula as more buildable. The way I would use these mattes is with a fluffier crease brush to layer on the colors as I go. Even though this isn't a formula that I'm used to, I really like how easy it is to blend this out without it losing its color. I'm just cleaning up the edge of the shadow to give it a little bit more of an editorial shape. Next I'm taking the color Replay, and this is a gorgeous kind of blurple eyeshadow color with a whole bunch of reflect in it. It does have a darker base, so I'm going to be throwing that into the crease. The particles on this eyeshadow are super tiny, so it does produce some fallout if you don't apply it with your finger. The main eyelid color I'm using is this one called Babylon. It's a gorgeous satin copper shade. It doesn't have any reflect in it, and even though I'm applying it with my finger, it also works well with the brush. This shade Alice is one of my favorites out of the palette. It's a gorgeous sheer periwinkle base with a whole bunch of glittery multicolored reflect in it. I'm applying that to the inner thirds of my eye to give me the starry eye kind of galaxy look that I'm going for. It applies the best with the finger for the most glitter payoff. I'm obsessed with this teal shade piece, so I'm just adding a little pop of it on my under eye and then bringing all of the other shades down as well. I really like how this eyeshadow looks on its own. It is already giving off that galaxy with all of the different glitter particles inside of it, but just to really take it there to the next level, I'm going to be going in and creating my own design of galaxy print with some white eyeliner details. I'm actually using a white matte concealer, so you can honestly use whatever you have. I'm creating little dots to kind of give that effect of like stars at a distance. And then adding two diamond-shaped bigger stars at the sides. This is probably the eyeshadow look that I thought the least amount of time on, and it came out to be my favorite one. Why does this happen to me? I really like how colorful it is, so to amplify that even more, I'm going into the waterline with the purple liner. And for the lips, I'm just going completely all the way out there and outlining my lips with the Chain Ballerina Liquid Glam Attack by Haus, and going in the center with some purple holographic glitter. So here's my graphic editorial galaxy look. I'm starting off this makeup with the shade My Mind. Although this color is a very dark brown, it does have a very strong white base that you could even see in the pan of the eyeshadow itself. On me it just comes off as a cool toned brown, but I can see how this can come off almost as an ashy shade. I mean, I don't have anything quite like it. It's very unique. But it is that soft buttery matte formula. I like it and it's really easy to work with. Now with the shade Motion, I'm going to be packing that into the crease. This shade is the matte black kind of formula where it's really soft and buttery, but it just has the smallest silver particles in it. I don't find that they show up too much, especially since I already have another shadow underneath it. If you wanted more of the glitter look, I would probably put it on over a black base, but these are pretty much the two darkest shadows in the palette. For my lid, I'm going to be adding on the shade 911. This matte white eyeshadow is pretty consistent with the rest of the shades in that it's really pigmented and buildable. I'm adding the shade Free Woman onto the center of my eyelid with my finger. This is the perfect silver metallic eyeshadow. I was surprised that I didn't actually have one in my collection, so I'm glad I now own this one. For the final details, I'm just going to go in and clean up the shade 911 and blend it into that silver, and I'm also going to add a halo effect to the bottom lash line. I completely forgot to highlight my brow bone with the white eyeshadow, and I left it on the other side. It looks so weird. How could I not notice? This look felt like really vintagey Hollywood glamour, so to keep in with that look, I'm going to go in with the Haus Punk eyeliner to create a wing. So to vamp it up even more, I'm gonna go in and outline my lips with this black liquid lipstick by Black Moon Cosmetics called Sleepwalker and the carroty red lipstick in Candied. And this is the completed glam rock vamp look. I'm starting this look off by dipping into the shade Plastic Doll and adding that all over the crease and under my eye. This eyeshadow is a pale cool toned pink, and I did notice that it needed a few layers for it to show up. Now with the shade Enigma, I'm going to be creating a two-toned eye, so I'm going to do the same exact thing from the pink side on this one. Although this shadow is a pale baby blue, it does have more of a muted undertone to it, like it almost has a little bit of gray in it. With the shade 1000 Doves, I'm going to add this to the lid of the blue side. It definitely shows up better with your finger versus a brush, but I'm using a brush just to soften out the edges. For the pink side, I'm using the shade Rain On Me. I find that the shade 1000 Doves and Rain On Me come off as more of topper shades because when you put it onto the skin, it doesn't really have too much of the base in it. The color is mostly in the glitter particles. This eyeshadow has a midnight blue base and blue reflect in it. This eyeshadow comes off really smooth and easy to work with. Just like the next shade Sour Candy, it's a true rose gold. For some final touches, I'm going in the waterline with some colorful eyeliners. And to keep the eyes really soft, I'm going to line my eyes with the shade My Mind. For the lips, I'm using the On Point lip liner and corset lip gloss by Haus. Even though this look is really colorful, it's still really soft, and for me personally, even though it's really beautiful at this stage, I'm just gonna add some two-tone blush just because I can. When I apply it to the other side, I'm also gonna flip the colors. I'm also using the shade Plastic Doll on my nose as blush and adding some little contour on my nostrils with the shade Enigma. For an inner corner highlight, I'm using the shade Light Up, and this shimmer color actually does have a pearl base to it, so it's really bright with pink and white shimmers. And this is the completed soft, colorful cotton candy look. I'm starting this look with the shade Enemy on a large eyeshadow brush and packing that on the first half of my eye. This is probably the most pigmented eyeshadow in the whole palette. There's no need to build up this burnt orange eyeshadow. Next, I'm using the shade Stupid Love to deepen up the eyelid. I love this shade because it is a classic kind of terracotta color, but it has a much more neutral undertone. Now I'm going in with the shade Peace, and this is the most perfect teal eyeshadow. I'm applying it with the large fluffy crease brush all over the outer corners of my eye. The matte blues in this eyeshadow palette are so unique in their buttery formula. I haven't tried anything else like this. For the lid, I'm adding the shade Sign, and since these two colors are complementary to each other, I'm not really trying to blend them in together as much as I'm just making them meet in the middle. That's why I have a little bit of space left in between them, just to avoid the blend looking muddy. For liner, I'm using the Haus Punk eyeliner to create an inner corner point and a wing. For the rest of the face, I'm going to keep with that orange theme, and I'm using the Melt Cosmetics Monarca lipstick. For blush, I'm using that same orange eyeshadow and adding it onto the face with the large fluffy brush. Since this is a more buildable formula, if you use a less dense brush, it blends out really well. I like to add it to the tip of my nose and a little bit onto my chin as well. This is actually a recreation of one of my own looks, and it's definitely one of my favorites. I would describe it as a modern electric Elvira inspired makeup, and that's actually all of the eyeshadows in this palette. I have so much fun doing multiple looks with a palette, so if you'd like to see maybe an update of other looks I would do with this or any other palette recommendations that you have, please make sure to leave them down below and subscribe to my channel as well. For a closer look of this makeup and all of my other looks, you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at MarilynMugBeat. I'll see you next time. Bye!